We're about to do the plant tour.
This is called the pharmacy room. The pharmacy room is where we weigh everything out. So if you take this batch production record, there's going to be a weighing sheet in here, and it's going to show you every single ingredient, the ratio of each ingredient, the weight of each ingredient, the ID number of each ingredient, and you're going to have 2 people in here at all times. Each person has to first grab the proper ingredient, check it off, and you can see every single thing is filled out here. So we have to put on the manufacturer, which we already know, but they have to take it off the label. The lot number, the batch number, we're tracking everything about that. Then they have to weigh it according to here. So they'll weigh it on a scale. Every one of these scales has to be validated daily before they're used. Okay? Every scale has to be calibrated and validated by third party every 3 months. Even the weights that we use to validate have to be validated. And it's not just, like I said earlier, it's
like
not
with
just,
a NIST validated weight and everything. Like, you're going all the way.
And all
to
these
source.
procedures I'm going to explain are not just us talking.
Right.
They are all written procedures that have to be signed off on. Any person involved in any procedure in this company has to be trained in that procedure. That has to be logged. We have an expiration date of their training. They have to be retrained. The trainers have to be trained. All this is logged. The FDA can come in here and see every single aspect of it. So in here, what they're going to do is they're going to take the formula batch sheet, they're going to take the weighing sheet, they're going to weigh each and every single ingredient. One person's going to put it on the scale, check it. The other person's going to check the ID number, check all the information, check the scale, weight scale, and then they're going to sign off. Both people have to sign off on every single item one at a time. So they can't do this whole batch and then just sign down the lot. If they do that one time, if they're ever caught signing down, we will fire them. There is no warning. Because then we have no record that they actually did it. So every single signature, one at a time, has to be on it. So this starts as a 2-check system, but there's 5 checks on this. First 2 checks are the 2 people who are weighing it, double checking each other's work. When that is done, the QA supervisor comes in and he checks the entire room. He's going to spot check weight, spot check ingredients, check the scale validation, check the sanitation logs, check everything before he'll sign off on this being released. Once he signs off, that's step 3. The balance of the raw material goes back out to the warehouse, and the warehouse has to weigh all that. The
unused stuff. So if you have like 25 kgs of this and you use 3, they got to see 22 left.
Exactly. Gotcha. Now they're not doing it down to milligram, but they're double checking that they've got back
you can
what
tell
they're
if
supposed
they missed.
to. They have to fill out that documentation. That sign, that goes to QA. The QA supervisor then does the 5th step where he's checking all the paperwork, every portion of it, checking the warehouse paperwork, and okays all of it. Once that's done, it'll be shrunk wrap or whatever, and it'll go into production. Okay? So, all right. This procedure here is similar to what we just talked about over in weighing. So there's got to be 2 people in this room when they're loading this batch. They'll have a sheet on the batch production record that shows the exact specifications of what they have to put in, how they have to weigh it, the order of what they have to do. They have to fill out each ingredient as they put it into the blender. 2 people have to sign. One person puts it in, one person watches, they check all the numbers, they check the ingredient, the number, the lot number, make sure it all does. 2 people sign off right down the line, item by item by item. And that's how we know we're getting the right ingredients in there, and we're double checking in case something fell off out on the way over. But it's a lot more detailed than that, because we also have to go, this is the first one of our critical control points. So let's say we put in 1,000 kilos in here. Well, this document's going to show what's going in and what's coming out and the variance that's allowed. It's a 3% variance. If we put in 1,000 kilos and they weigh each one and they add it up and it's above or below the variance, the room gets shut down. QA's got to come in and we have to scientifically validate what's going on. Did we lose something? Did we drop something? But if we can't, then that batch is dead.
You just got to dispose of it.
Exactly. So that's one of the critical control points. Also, we got to make sure the blend is right. So if we did everything proper up to now, we qualified the manufacturer of the raw material. We checked it through QC. We double checked it, all of the testing of it, right? We did the proper weighing with our 5-check system. It comes in here, it gets loaded properly. We have to make sure that we have a homogeneous blend coming out of it.
Right. You can't blend it too much, you can't blend it too little.
Exactly. You might have too much chocolate on the bottom. All the ingredients are right, but there's something wrong in the process. So we have to validate that And we take, I think in this one it's 3 samples, high, mid, low. We make sure that they all are consistent with each other. Because we have to, every single process, as we talked about earlier here, is documented. We have to know the maintenance of this machinery. We have to know the revolutions of this blender. Because if we've created a blend, let's say for 15 minutes, and this is at whatever 30 revolutions per minute, well, if we didn't maintain this properly and it's going slower, then we might not blend it enough.
Right.
So you don't get a homogeneous blend. If we overblend it, people don't realize if you underblend it, it's not mixed. Right. If you overblend something, you segregate it back out.
Like a centrifuge.
Yeah. So you can actually dump stuff into the drum and it's not fully mixed. We have to test that. And it's a lot more hard than that because even when it goes out of a drum, if everything's not milled properly, if the particle size of all the materials are not proper, as it comes out of the drum, it'll segregate back out. So example I gave you earlier, if you take salt and pepper in your hand, shake it up, and put it out onto a slippery table, the pepper lands, stays, and the salt starts to roll away. That can happen coming right out of this machine into the barrel.
Jeez. And
then the customer gets too much creatine, not enough caffeine, or too much flavor. So it's a whole process of making sure that this blend is done right from beginning to end. This was a multivitamin. This has gone through a few step process. So most probably before it even got in there, we skipped steps of milling the material. There might have been different ingredients that are too big or small particle size. We had to mill it down to get it to the right dimension so that it would get a proper blend. It probably went through, I'm not sure that process, but 1 or 2 pre-blends. And you asked me about that earlier. So the example I gave is, let's say we take Extreme Gainer and we have a huge blend that has 1,000 kilos in it, and we're putting 500 milligrams of 20 different multivitamins in it. So you're putting this much in a blender the size of this whole room. How do you get that process so it's a homogeneous process? So a lot of times we've got to mill those items down to make sure they blend. They might go into a smaller blender like this where we pre-blend certain ingredients to get them to mix properly. That pre-blend can go into a second pre-blend, into a final blend. There's a whole science behind how these blends are done to make sure the end consumer gets the product that's actually on the label.
Is that what this machine's dedicated to, is pre-blending?
This is a pre-blend.
Gotcha. Awesome, wow.
Let's take a look at a protein blender. So this is a different type of blender. You saw the blender room that we were just in. That entire cone blender spins around. Very dangerous. That's why you have a lockout system and electric eyes so nobody can get in there while it's happening. This is called a ribbon blender, okay? This is a 60 cubic foot ribbon blender. So you'll dump all the material in the top of that, and inside will be like a big corkscrew blade. And that will turn, and that's how this one blends. So that one blends by a tumbling system. This one blends by a blade mixing it. We use it predominantly for protein powders. And the other blend you saw we use for a lot of amino acids, pre-workouts, and stuff like that.
And so this is just more efficient for proteins and...
For us, it's more efficient for protein powders, right.
What we're doing first.
And when this blender is up, this is usually operating 24/7.
Yeah, you guys are making a lot of whey protein, a lot of new flavors lately, which we're going to be sampling later on. So.